What is up, everybody, and welcome back to the Mid-Level Media channel, your hub for everything physical media and entertainment. I am Ken, and today, guys, I'm back again for another recommendation video. This is 5 4K Blu-rays from Warner Brothers that I think you need to have in your collection. I did a part 1 of this, so this is part 2, and these are just some of my favorite videos to make. I love going back in the collection, just picking out titles, reminiscing on some past films and experiences that I've had since owning these, and I just can't wait to recommend them to you because I got some really awesome stuff to talk about. But definitely go check out part 1 because I recommended some real bangers in that one as well. I've also got videos where I talk about 5 4Ks from Universal, 5 4Ks from Sony, and also Paramount as well. So I've done these before. And yeah, just some of my favorite videos to make. But before we get into it, guys, I want to ask that if you are not yet a subscriber to the Mid-Level Media channel, what are you waiting for? Hit the subscribe button. I do tons of physical media content on this channel, recommendation videos like this. I do 4K Blu-ray reviews and breakdowns. I do collection hauls, unboxing videos, live streams with other collectors, physical media vlogs, news updates every single Monday with a physical media report. So if you like 4Ks and Blu-rays, if you like that kind of content, you'll like this. So definitely hit that subscribe button. Also, be sure to like this video and comment down below, guys, if you got any recommendations for me, any Warner Brothers titles that I may have missed that you think I should check out. Let me know in that comment section below. And also comment on the ones that I went over here today. Are you going to get them based on my recommendation? I will be leaving links down below in the description. And also, do you own them and do you enjoy them as much as I do? But let's go ahead and get into it. Like I said, we got some really awesome stuff to talk about here today, and I will be sharing the prices of all of these as well. And like I said, I will be leaving the links down below. So none of these that we're going to cover here today are the cheapest. They're all pretty steady above like the $20 price point, but they are so worth it. I can guarantee it. So let's get into my first recommendation from Warner Brothers. This was a 4K that I believe came out in 2017, and everybody was raving about it when it came out, but this is 2001 A Space Odyssey, Stanley Kubrick's 2001 A Space Odyssey. So I am admittedly not the biggest fan of this movie. It probably ranks on the lower tier of my favorite Kubrick films, but there is no denying that the visuals are absolutely stunning in this film. So in 4K, guys, they really pop and they really get a chance to shine, especially with that HDR. There are just some visuals in this film that will absolutely blow you away. And it's just one of the best transfers that I've seen. It was made in 1968. It still blows my mind to watch this movie and know that it was made all the way back then. I think over 50 years now, 54 years this movie is. It is incredible, like what they were able to do. Like, Stanley Kubrick truly is a master of the craft, a master of filmmaking. There is no denying that. I just have some issues with the overall in story. I just don't think it's that engaging of a movie. But visually, like, it is just a cinematic experience like no other. And in 4K, guys, it's just chef's kiss. It just looks so freaking good. So if you're gonna watch this movie and you wanna appreciate the visuals in their entirety, the way that they were intended to be appreciated, you have got to watch this movie in 4K. It looks absolutely incredible. So this was a really cool little package that they released when they came out. It's honestly not in the best condition. I actually bought this a little bit later, I think about 2 or 3 years after it came out, but I still got it with this package. So you might too. It might be a thing where they sell these big hard box cases with all of the release. It's kind of, I would say, like in the middle of you know, a hard box Scream Factory release and a hard box Arrow videos, and it's certainly better than the Godfather case that just came out, I'll say that. But it's a nice case. It's a nice packaging. I love the image on the front. It's got a cool image on the back right there. That's what I'm talking about, like with the reds and the blacks, and it looks so great. This movie looks absolutely phenomenal. It is also, guys, if you're wanting to know about the sound, 5.1 DTS, so it's not Dolby Atmos or anything like that, but I don't even know if they had the capabilities to do that. I listen to most of these on a soundbar, so I don't have that full Atmos setup anyway, so I'm not really missing out on anything until I do get that full Atmos setup. So right here, guys, I'll show you the special features on the back. Some really great special features in this release, some new ones and also some legacy ones that came out back in the day. So yeah, just some good stuff. You get the 4K and the Blu-ray in it. You get all of these little postcards, and you get a booklet. It's a really nice set, and you can get this right now, guys, for $24.99. So again, a little pricey. I remember getting this when it was on sale, and it was like $16 $99 for this release. But an excellent release, guys, and it's a great addition to anybody's collection. It just, they always do great work with these Stanley Kubrick films in 4K, and I may or may not be talking about another one here in a second. But yeah, 2001: A Space Odyssey is a must-own. So let's get into the next 4K title from Warner Brothers that I want to talk about, and that is a movie that I just watched this year for the first time. I did a Western month on my channel where I was going back and just discovering some great films in the Western genre, because honestly, it was a real blind spot for me. And when I got to this one, guys, it just absolutely blew me away. It met every single expectation. This is a Best Picture winner from 1992, directed by Clint Eastwood, and that is Unforgiven. And this movie is not only a great film. When I was done watching this movie, I gave it a 5 out of 5, a perfect score. It is honestly probably like in my top 25 movies of all time. I was absolutely blown away by this film, by Clint Eastwood's performance, also Morgan Freeman in this movie. Just the character arc, just the journey that he goes on. Gene Hackman in this movie is a great villain. I love everything about this film, and it's so well paced, and it just builds to this epic confrontation and conclusion at the end, and I just absolutely loved it. But not only that, it's a great film, yes, but also, guys, the transfer, the 4K transfer in this, it's got the HDR and everything, so it looks so incredible. Like, I had never seen this movie before, so I can't say I watched it on Blu-ray and DVD. But what I can say is you could absolutely just tell every single detail that I imagine you probably couldn't tell before. But the facial detail with Clint Eastwood, Morgan Freeman, just some of the settings and the scenery, that Western setting, that Old West frontier setting, it all looks so great. You have these sweeping visuals of the skyline and the mountains in the background. Everything just looks fantastic in this movie. This is absolutely a must-own 4K for anybody's collection. Just looks absolutely immaculate. I love this movie. Absolutely love it. So I'm glad I have it in the collection. I am disappointed that I just bought it, so I missed out on that slipcover, but it's absolutely a must-own, guys. So got some great special features to this one as well. And yeah, it's just a great movie and a great release. And you can get this one right now, guys. This is probably the cheapest 4K that I'm going to talk about, for $19.99 on Amazon. So to me, that's an absolute steal. It is a great release from Warner Brothers. They did a fantastic job on this all-time classic Western. So absolutely love Unforgiven. Now, this next one that I'm going to talk about is one that is probably going to be very familiar for most people. Probably the most recognizable film, probably the most popular film in my recommendations today. But this is one that you absolutely should own if you have not gotten into it yet. If you still own it on Blu-ray, on DVD, heck, even VHS. But it's just one of the most popular, most well-known science fiction films of all time. And that's The Matrix. And everybody knows this movie's great. It just came out with a 4th installment of the franchise that wasn't as popular. And really, to me, like, this is the only one in this franchise that I really believe is worth owning. I don't own the other Matrix films. I'm sure they look fantastic as well, but I don't own them because I really don't like them. The newer one, I wasn't a huge fan of that one either. This is the only one to me that's worth it, guys. And yeah, what can you say about The Matrix? It's a classic science fiction action film, 1999. This movie changed the game. It changed the game in special effects and just stunt choreography. It's just one of the best movies. Keanu Reeves is such a stoic badass in this movie as the character of Neo. Trinity, played by Carrie-Anne Moss, is great. Lawrence Fishburne as Morpheus. Just everybody, the whole cast is just absolutely phenomenal. And yeah, I love The Matrix, and I think that this movie is just one of the best looking 4Ks. Like I said, it could have looked really cheesy because some of the effects don't hold up completely, but the way that they did it, I don't know, there's something about it. It actually enhanced it, then made you notice its flaws even more, if that makes any sense. Like even the scene with the bullet time, like you can still tell that doesn't age the best. But I don't know, with the 4K, guys, it looked honestly better. And yeah, there's just some stunning sequences in this, especially when they go in the actual post-apocalyptic world. Just some of those scenes with the Sentinels and the storms in the background. I just think this is one of the best looking 4Ks that has come out in the past few years. I think this one was released back in 2019 or 2018. And you can get The Matrix right now, guys, for $20.29. So, and this one does have Dolby Atmos. It's got the HDR, and I'm telling you guys, absolutely worth it. Visually, it is fantastic. So definitely add The Matrix to your collection. I'm sure that most people have it in their collection, but if you don't, definitely add this one to your collection. It's definitely one of the more standout 4Ks that I've ever seen. Absolutely love this film and this 4K transfer. And now we're going to get into the fourth recommendation that I have for you guys today. And this one came out in 2019, and when I left the theater watching this film, I actually have an early video on the channel where I actually did a vlog, a theater vlog to go see this, and I have fresh thoughts and reactions to it when I come out. But yeah, this movie, when I came out of the theater, I did not think that this movie was going to be as good as it was, especially considering the source material and the movie that it had to follow up almost 40 years later, and that is Dr. Sleep. And I talked about The Shining, I know, in my first recommendation video, and that is a great 4K transfer for a classic horror film. So I had to talk about Dr. Sleep, and it is a newer film, but my goodness, this movie, I was just blown away by this film. It definitely feels like a Shining sequel, but also it feels very much like its own thing, and it tells its own story, and it does it so beautifully that when it builds up to the end, and then you get the Shining tie-in very heavily, it all feels worth it, and you care about that moment, you care about what's happening in that moment, because it takes you back to the old school Shining film, the Overlook Hotel, but also because you're just invested in these new characters, and it doesn't feel cheap, and it doesn't feel like fan service, and I love Dr. Sleep. And yes, we got to talk about the 4K visuals, guys, because the 4K visuals in the first one were absolutely fantastic, and that one came out in 2019, I think a few months before this one did. But this movie, just the aesthetic choices that they choose for this one, there's just a lot of heavy greens and blacks in this movie. It's really dark, but it just really works with that HDR, and the contrast and the black levels look absolutely fantastic in this movie. There's just some stunning scenes and cinematography, and especially when they get to that hotel, you have all the same like aesthetic set pieces as the first one, and they look just the same as they did back then. They found a way to make it feel like it still retained that old school like film feel to it, and it just felt like you were back at the Overlook, not in today, but back in the 80s. It felt like it was made in the 80s, but also it felt like it was made today. It was just really great how they were able to fuse those two styles together, the Kubrick style with the Stanley Kubrick sequel book. It was just fantastic, and I couldn't believe that they pulled it off as well as they did when I saw it in theaters. And yeah, this is a great looking 4K, guys. One thing that I will say about this one, and it might be a negative for some people, is that there is a 3-hour director's cut to this film, but it is only on the Blu-ray disc. It is not on the 4K. So you only get the original theatrical cut on the 4K disc, and the director's cut is on the Blu-ray. So if you want to watch that 3 hours director's cut, you are going to have to pop in the Blu-ray. And if you just want to watch the theatrical, you have to watch it on 4K. So you can't swap back and forth. You cannot watch both cuts, which I hope that someday, and they might have, but I really don't think that they have, but I hope that one day they do release a set that you can watch the theatrical on 4K and also the director's cut on 4K. And there is some really great special features in this as well. And yeah, it's got the Dolby Atmos, and just visually, guys, it looks great. This is a great companion piece to The Shining. So if you have The Shining on 4K in your collection, you were a little skeptical on getting this one, not thinking that it was going to be as good as it was, thinking that it's going to be a little bit of a cash grab sequel. That could not be any further from the truth. This is a fantastic sequel that definitely lives up to its predecessor. So definitely check out Dr. Sleep on 4K if you get the chance. So you can get that 4K, guys, right now for $22.94. So a little steep. Like I said, none of these 4Ks that I'm discussing here today are very cheap, but they're all incredible and totally worth it. So let's get into my final recommendation, guys. And again, I said at the beginning when we talked about 2001, we were gonna get back to Kubrick, and Kubrick's got a lot of fantastic titles from Warner Bros. But one that I have to talk about is a movie that I hadn't watched since I was a kid when I revisited it on 4K when I bought it a couple years ago, and that is Full Metal Jacket. And man, did this movie totally and completely affect me when I watched it. Like, you got R. Lee Ermey in this film that gives like one of the best performances that I've ever seen. And I love the movie Whiplash with J.K. Simmons and Miles Teller, directed by Damien Chazelle. And I could absolutely see where J.K. Simmons got his performance in that movie from R. Lee Ermey in this one. I absolutely love him in this movie. You also got Vincent D'Onofrio in this film giving a hell of a performance. You got Matthew Modine giving a great performance. Like, this movie is phenomenal. It really feels like two movies in one, because you do have that drill boot camp in the first half, and then you had the actual war at the end, and that 4K definitely gets a chance to showcase and shine in that second half of the movie. But there's definitely some really great scenes and imagery and scenery and just the way it's shot in the first half as well, and where that 4K really gets a chance to shine also. And yeah, just some of the facial detail. This is one of the standout 4K releases that I've ever seen Warner Brothers do. And I would probably have to put 2001 at the top, and I would hate to put The Shining at number 3, but I might actually put this as the number 2 Stanley Kubrick 4K that they've done so far. I think that it's that good, because when you get to those scenes of war and some of the visuals outside, absolutely fantastic and really stand out and really pop in that HDR. So this is a fantastic movie. This is a fantastic transfer, and this is a recommendation for you guys that I absolutely think you need to own. This is one of the best war movies of all time. Might be in my top 3 war movies of all time, to be honest. So Full Metal Jacket, you gotta own it, guys. You gotta own it in your collection. You can get it for $24.99 on Amazon.com right now. So add that up and you're looking at about $115 for all 5 of these 4Ks. But I'm telling you right now, guys, they are totally worth it. They are great 4Ks. They are great movies, and you need to have them in your collection. So with that, guys, we are done with this recommendation video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got some great new ideas and recommendations to add to your collection. Let me know in that comment section below if you're gonna pick any of these up. If you already have them in your collection, what do you think of them? Let me know in the comment section below. Also, be sure to like this video, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, turn on those bell notifications, and follow me on all my social media accounts. Those links are in the description, and we'll see you next time.